Welcome to True Recaps, spoilers ahead. Today we are going to review the horror mystery movie The Invitation, released in 2022. The film begins a century ago in an old mansion. Emmeline Alexander, played by Virag Barani, has locked herself in her room while the butler informs her that she needs to feed. Emmeline runs from her room, tying a rope around her neck and using a statue as a weight. She declares that whatever is going on will end with her, and she hangs herself. In present-day New York City, Evelyn Evie Jackson, played by Nathalie Emmanuel, is working as a server at a museum for snooty people, along with her best friend Grace, played by Courtney Taylor. Evie has felt alone since her mother died of cancer 5 months ago, and her father died when she was just 14 years old. She then uses a DNA kit to learn more about her ancestors. Evie receives a message from a young British man named Oliver Alexander, played by Hugh Skinner. Evie agrees to meet with Oliver in person, despite her hesitations. They eat lunch and talk about Oliver's family history. Oliver was extremely polite and hospitable, and he appeared to come from a wealthy family. He informs Evie that she was involved in the great family scandal. Evie's great-grandmother, Emmeline Alexander, had a sexual affair. When Emmeline was pregnant just before her wedding in 1925, the truth was revealed. The man abandoned the village and raised the child on his own. Oliver had told his entire joint family about Evie in his excitement. He had invited her to a family wedding that was to take place in a few days. Evie remained skeptical. Things were moving at a breakneck pace. She had no knowledge of Oliver or his family, but he persuaded her to come. After a while, Evie decided that it couldn't be that bad and that it was worth a shot. Evie arrives in London to attend the wedding at the DeVille estate. She meets the stuffy butler, Mr. Fields, played by Sean Pertwee, before meeting the lord of the estate, Walter Walt DeVille, played by Thomas Doherty. Evie is adored by his gentle demeanor and good looks. He assures her that he will make her feel at home. Evie is given a tour by the head maid, Mrs. Swift, played by Carol Ann Crawford, who tells her about the bells in the house and how they are connected to other rooms. Evie also calls Grace to tell her about the estate and how hot Walt is. Later, she walks through the halls and witnesses Mr. Fields instructing a group of maids, picking one to work in a certain part of the house. The maid goes into the room where she is grabbed by an unseen creature. The next morning, Evie is invited to a family reunion to meet the rest of the clan. The great-uncle of the family gives a welcoming speech to Evie. Walt also gets closer to Evie and tries to flirt with her. Meanwhile, 2 other maids are instructed to work inside a wine cellar. While they mess around at first, they are soon picked off and grabbed by the same mysterious creature. Walt gives Evie a gown to wear for a ball that evening. While out at the party, Evie meets the tall, beautiful, and condescending Victoria, played by Stephanie Corneliuson, and the kinder Lucy, played by Alana Boden. Afterwards, Evie sits with Walt in the bedroom where they watch the fireworks and share their first kiss. As Evie gets closer to Walt, she is invited to a pre-wedding pampering session with Victoria, Lucy, and other female guests. While Victoria continues to talk down to Evie, she considers Lucy to be more of a friend. During the session, Evie's finger gets cut and Victoria begins to suck the blood from the finger, creeping Evie out. Evie walks through the house later and discovers that Walt had been investigating Evie's life, finding several documents of personal information, including her Facebook profile and other things. Evie confronts Walt and threatens to leave, but he convinces her that he had no bad intentions in doing so. He manages to seduce her and the two make love for the first time. Walt also appears to try to trick Evie into agreeing to marriage. The family hosts a dinner where Evie believes she will finally meet the bride and groom. After a speech is given, Walt announces to the family that Evie has agreed to marry him, shocking her. Moments later, the family brings out one of the maids and they slit her throat and pour her blood into a bowl, horrifying Evie. She realizes that they are vampires, and Walt is attempting to continue a family tradition of having 3 wives from the other vampire families, including Victoria and Lucy. And Evie was the latest female descendant of Emmeline, whose bloodline only produced boys. Evie attempts to run, but she is subdued by the family. Evie is taken into a cellar to prepare her for a wedding with Walt, but Mrs. Swift comes to free her due to feeling guilty over what happened to Emmeline. Despite knowing she will be killed, Mrs. Swift helps Evie escape. Evie makes it into a nearby town where she meets Jonathan, played by Jeremy Wheeler, and Mina Harker, played by Elizabeth Council. Evie asks for their help and is invited into their shop. As Mina calls for help, Evie quickly discovers that they are loyal to the vampire clan, and although she tries to run, Mina knocks her out and waits for the others to get her. Evie is prepared for the wedding. As she is set to take her vows, she remembers encouraging words from her mother, and she intends to fight back. Evie drinks Walt's blood and gains vampire powers. She sets fire to the place and pierces Walt through the heart before freeing a maid that was intended for sacrifice. Evie runs and is found by Mr. Fields, whom she fights and kills by slitting his throat. Victoria goes after her and nearly kills her, but Lucy helps fight back because she is tired of the cruelty and bloodshed, so she impales both of them and they disintegrate. A weakened Walt goes after Evie, but she overpowers him and throws him into the fire. As he dies, Evie's vampirism wears off. The nightmare ended, and Evie went back to New York. In the end, we see that Oliver is trying to escape the country and hide the evidence from the authorities, but Evie and her friend Grace have not forgiven the shrewd conspirator. They track him down and follow him into his office, killing him for his ungrateful behavior and sinful deeds. That's all for this video. Please like, subscribe, share and comment on this video if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching.